What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Multiverse Monologues, the podcast show where we like to travel across the multiverses and fandoms that we love to talk about the movies and television shows that accompany those universes. And it is with great sadness that we welcome you folks back to the Star Wars movie marathon.
We're so sad you're here. You should not have clicked on this video, guys.
For the last time. This is it, folks. All we've done all this time. We are at the end of the Star Wars movie marathon, and that means that we are, of course, talking about Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. We've made it, boys. We've been through every single Star Wars theatrically and even some that weren't theatrically released film, whether it be animated or live action, and we're finally at the finale of what Disney has described as the Skywalker saga. The Skywalker saga that began with The Phantom Menace and now concludes with this week, The Rise of Skywalker. And in 2019, when this movie was released, leading up to it, it was what the heck is going to happen? Because for a whole year, and honestly 2 years leading up to this, people were arguing so much online about what the heck just happened in The Last Jedi. Solo came and went, and people were still talking about Last Jedi. But 2019 came.
Because no one saw Solo.
That's right. And
literally nobody.
Except our listeners, because Solo is actually a landmark podcast for us on YouTube. It's the best performing marathon within the first week that we've ever posted, guys.
Holy cow.
How
Thank
cool
you
is that?
guys for
Yeah.
listening.
Yes. Well, thank you to you guys. But back in the history lesson, which is basically what this has turned into, in 2019, folks started to shift their gaze to The Rise of Skywalker, and I think we were all shocked in springtime when that first teaser trailer was released, and we heard the laugh of Ian McDiarmid's Emperor Palpatine. Who? He's coming back?
How?
Somehow Palpatine returned? That's what people were wondering for like 3/4 of the year until December when...
And we were excited for answers, guys, in this movie.
Did we get them?
Ooh.
Still up for debate. A good question. A lot of good questions for another time. And we're going to talk about that, but when this was released, it was met with very polarizing reviews. This was the first time that the critics jumped against the Star Wars movies that Disney was released. Even Solo got a kind of favorable critical response, but this one was the first one where the critics joined a lot of outspoken fans because it all sits around like a 50%. Critics and fans were very mixed with the finale of this Skywalker saga, and there's a lot of reasons behind that. 5 years ago, there are new reasons now in 2024. There are many new reasons now, and
more.
100% there is, because I think I speak for all of us. We have not seen this movie since it was released theatrically. That was 5 years ago, guys. And could this turn out like The Last Jedi? Could this be a very, I hated it then, but I love it now. I didn't really like it then, but maybe it's better than I
Maybe it's a
thought.
hidden gem, guys.
It could be. And I can't wait
rise
to
of
hear what you guys think on the comments below, because you guys have been very vocal, and it's a pleasure to go in the comments of each and every one of these videos and just pick apart all of the cool details and thoughts that you guys have, your opinions on things that I even didn't really realize or even thought about. So we love hearing from you guys down below. And there's one guy that I always love hearing from each and every week. That is, first and foremost, Mr. Ethan Wentzloff. Ethan, how are you?
I'm doing good, and I'm so excited to be here, guys. Like Ben said, somehow we three have returned, and somehow you all got our coded message. The listeners did, because earlier this week I left a knife on the beach, in the dune, and I guess I had maybe a vague map drawn on it, and I guess they used it to find this podcast. So thank you, listeners.
Holy
thank
cow. You wouldn't think it would be possible.
Right. Like, I guess they must have been standing in the perfect spot for it to work and lead them right to the holocron. So
We're glad you guys are here, no matter how you got here. And a guy I'm always glad is here is Mr. Micah Head. Micah, how are you?
I'm doing well. I learned a lot of things today. I learned that, one, the dead speak. I learned that protocol droids can't translate Sith language. And I learned that they fly now. They fly now.
Dude.
They fly now.
No way.
They
They've
fly
never
now.
flown before this?
Never.
Is that what you're saying?
Are you kidding me? Stormtroopers? They fly now?
Flying?
So what's the time?
I can't believe it.
What's the time gap between, Force Awakens and this movie?
A year.
Okay, so within a year, I guess, since Finn left the First Order, they've implemented flight training. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, okay.
Come on, man. They fly now.
They fly now.
That would be
Just
what
accept
we're
it.
led to believe, I guess.
Right.
Yeah. Unbelievable. I don't... J.J. Abrams, why would you include this in the movie? Stormtroopers have never flown before. Come on. Come on, man.
That is earth-shattering.
I will
the
say-
canon of Star Wars is broken.
There's a lot of earth-shattering
You ruined my
things in Rise of Skywalker. There really, really is, folks. And so, I mean, let's not mince words, gentlemen. Let's get into the nitty-gritty of this. Let's hit the hyperdrive and head over to the Star Wars galaxy. The dead speak. The galaxy has heard a mysterious broadcast, a threat of revenge in the sinister voice of the late Emperor Palpatine. General Leia Organa dispatches secret agents to gather intelligence while Rey, the last hope of the Jedi, trains for battle against the diabolical First Order. Meanwhile, Supreme Leader Kylo Ren rages in search of the Phantom Emperor, determined to destroy any threat to his power.
See that?
That's basically how they wanted us to react when we read this.
Guy, Supreme Leader
They said
Kylo?
revenge. They said Last Jedi.
You see Phantom in
They
there?
said Phantom. I know those words. Those were in the Star Wars movies,
Guys,
guys.
this is-
Yeah.
I think we could say this opening crawl is all the opening crawls thrown into one.
All of them. The dead really do
They
speak.
do, man.
So, do you know what that's a reference to? The galaxy has heard a mysterious broadcast. Do you know where that broadcast was broadcast?
I only know this because of
Exegol.
how hilarious it's Fortnite.
Fortnite. There was a couple weeks before this movie was released.
What?
You can look it up, folks. A couple weeks before this movie was released, Emperor Palpatine, with original dialogue not recorded for this film, comes out and he says, "The might of the final order," something like that, in Fortnite. It was a live event. And we didn't know that at the time, but that was the mysterious broadcast in Fortnite.
Right, but in the Star Wars universe, there isn't Fortnite. Just for us as watchers, this was the broadcast that we got to see.
Yes.
No way.
Look, dude, pull it up.
Speaking of Fortnite,
What do we watch?
The work of generations is complete. The great error is corrected. The day of victory is at hand. The day of revenge. The day of the Sith.
Oh, that's great. Scroll down to the comments real quick.
Oh, yeah.
What do the comments have to say?
the speech should have been put over the beginning sequence with Kylo Ren. This is how The Last Jedi should have ended. If Palpatine didn't send out this broadcast, he would have won. That's totally true.
Wait, why did he send out a broadcast?
Dude,
Guys,
you
I
could ask
have
that question.
returned.
I hope you
So
guys
many
had
things.
an amazing May the 4th. You guys can play as Lego Star Wars characters in Fortnite right now. That's amazing.
Yes.
Cool on you. Like
Yeah.
that does kind of give away your element of surprise, right? Like you have been behind the scenes, running the whole First Order according to this movie. And then you're like, you know what? I've basically won. My fleet, like, there's no way. Like I saw in the last movie, this rebellion, or what are they called now?
The resistance.
This resistance There's not more of them. There's no way there's more of them. Oh, but
Nobody showed up.
But Lando tells us in this movie, there are more of us. So sorry, Palpatine. Looks like your genius that you had in the prequels and in the original trilogy also died with you before you were made into a clone.
Yeah, and I love just how quick the beginning is, just to catch you all.
Just the beginning, Ben?
Wow, I guess
Not the entire
you
film?
can say this whole freaking movie.
Not every single second of this entire movie?
Guys, I think we're revealing our hand a little too early. We haven't said whether or
Let's-
not. Yeah, look, come on. We have to
let's
go into it.
Form up.
Yes,
Let's lock in.
Good point. Good point. Lock our S foils in
But
attack position.
We're always locked in S position.
Big
Or
time.
X foils. But whatever.
Whoa.
Let's keep going.
Ethan, come on. Take us through your history of Rise of Skywalker.
All right.
This is
So
your favorite one. You've seen it every day since launch.
This is easily the best movie I've watched in the past couple days. Because the only movie I've watched in the past couple days. So the competition isn't quite there. But leading up to the release of this, I was kind of not excited at all. I didn't really care. I am one of the few, or one of the many, that are quiet, that enjoyed much of The Last Jedi. I enjoyed so much of The Last Jedi. So going into this, I was like, okay, let's see what they do. But like Ben said, in all the promotion leading up to this, Palpatine was in it. And just on that hook alone, I was really upset. It's like, you're bringing Palpatine back? Are you kidding me? Well, how does this make any sense? Not only for the chosen one that Anakin is, bring balance to the Force, but to this trilogy as a whole. So on that premise alone, I was kind of upset. So going into this, and plus it was just a little after Endgame, so hype was there for Marvel, and Star Wars was kind of feeling like, all right, let's see what they do. So that's how I felt going in. I went opening night to this with a group of friends, and I felt the same way. I was not angry watching this, but I just didn't care. As I watched this, things happened, and many things happened where I was just scratching my head. Like, even me, I'm not a professional screenplay writer. I don't write scripts, but I saw that this script was not good, and that there were so many elements in this movie that just were thrown together. And that's how I felt leaving the theater. And then I went to school the next day. And my school friends, Jordan and Josh, I'll shout you all out. They said, hey, Ethan, we're so excited. We haven't seen the new Star Wars movie yet. You got to come with us tonight. So I did. I went again that Friday night with the boys. Second time seeing it. And guys, this is famously the only movie I've ever fallen asleep in the theater for. I got about 20 minutes into this, and it was one of the, because us three, I know we have that feeling when we can fall asleep in a movie. There's always we always fight it.
Mm-hmm.
We always fight it.
Yep.
But on this specific evening, I decided to let the sleep take me. I was watching this movie is exhausting. It is. And I felt exhausted, so I let the sleep take me. So technically, I've only seen this movie one time before this. And watching it this time, a lot of my thoughts are the same.
You slept through it?
I didn't sleep through it, guys.
pulled a Micah?
I did not pull a Micah with Venom. I didn't do that. But a lot of my thoughts are the same. I don't care for this movie, but I'd say now I dislike this movie even more than I did at the time because of how well I think The Last Jedi has aged. For me, as a Last Jedi fan. And a lot of the elements that this kind of throws in the trash from the last, because regardless of what you think of The Last Jedi, this movie also isn't good in any way. So I'm excited to talk about it and break down my thoughts even further. But no, I didn't like it when I saw it. Took a nap the second time I saw it. This third time, I don't like it.
This film isn't good in any way. Dang,
I wouldn't
those
say
are
anyway,
some
but
harsh words, Ethan.
yeah,
Did you think anything positive when you saw it in theaters the first time? There was nothing. You had nothing. That
obviously
was like,
spectacle, visuals,
Yeah.
super cool, but even the action is like Kylo Ren. I like Kylo Ren a lot.
we'll save
And-
that part.
No,
Yeah,
I'll
we'll
save that.
save
We'll
that part.
save
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So there are elements that I'm excited to talk about, but overall, not a fan of what this does, and I don't think that's. I'm being pretty soft right now in the opening, and I'm going to keep it that way.
Okay. Micah?
So I've got my Letterboxd diary pulled up here because I saw Rise of Skywalker December 19th, 2019,
Yes.
that Thursday night.
Happy
I
birthday,
think
Ben.
this may have been,
Thank you, Ethan.
Ben, that was your birthday?
I saw this on my birthday, yeah.
Well, happy birthday. This may have been one of the first movies I saw on a Thursday night, like the Thursday night premiere showing. And then I went around, saw it the next day.
Ooh,
That was pretty sick.
peak.
But this was the third to last movie I saw in theaters before COVID. I saw
Right.
this, I saw Cats, and then I saw Sonic the Hedgehog in theaters,
Wow.
and then COVID lockdown.
Wait,
I
so
forgot how close
look at
this
that,
was.
man.
so this
Yeah.
so this movie came out right before COVID.
3 months before, yeah.
December 2019.
That timeline does not
March
add up.
2020 was
Yeah,
when
because
it
then
all went
Clone
down.
Wars came out like 2 months afterwards, season 7, and then it went into COVID.
That is crazy. That's
Isn't it?
crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So
So this movie is the
this is my third time watching Rise of Skywalker. My COVID theory is that they had to get all of the Marvel stuff out, and then they had to get all the Star Wars movies out, and then COVID. That's just my conspiracy. Yeah, like it couldn't have happened until
Interesting.
But
these came out.
the COVID people gave J.J. Abrams a call and said, "Hey, this is your deadline to release this movie. Crunch it.
We got to drop this virus
Smash.
pretty soon.
Slam.
So,
We got an epic virus cooking. We're gonna drop it."
yeah. But in all seriousness, Rise of Skywalker, I thought was decent when I watched it the first time. I don't know what I was on. All right. But I gave into the spectacle that Ethan talked about. I saw lightsabers swinging. I saw people jumping with the Force.
Like, movies
I
are
saw-
good.
I saw prequel lightsaber combat is back, baby. That was my young film guy mind. I mean, I loved Star Wars prequels growing up. I saw people jumping around. Lightsabers were clashing. I saw Palpatine back. I saw, all the things that they wanted me to like, and I was like, all right, they fly now. That's funny. That's awesome.
Good stuff.
Yeah, good stuff.
stuff.
The porgs, those are back too. When I watched this, I was definitely in a mindset of, give it to me, whatever. I'll take it. This is fun. And this time I definitely was not in that mindset. This time I was definitely in a mindset of, this is a failure of a closure to one of the greatest sagas of all time. It had such a great power, and it did not use that responsibility.
So I even the saga stuff is just kind of a title that Disney slapped on this, right? This is not like the end of the saga was when Darth Vader died.
Yeah.
Yep.
I even looking at this as an end of a trilogy.
It's such a shoehorned movie. It feels like they had to make something and they threw it all together. This feels like, all right, so we had 2 years between Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker. And in that time, you had all this discourse. Was The Last Jedi good? Is The Rise of Skywalker going to be good? Is the trailer good? Solo came out. Everyone's freaking out. It's just like chickens running around with their heads cut off. J.J. Abrams saw all this internet kerfuffling going on, and he was like, all right, we got to make a movie that pleases everybody because they like this stuff, but they don't like that stuff. But if we include them both, it'll be contradictory. So we have to kind of like half-bake all the characters. We have to half-bake everything. We have to kind of go in all the places, but also not, because people didn't like that Rian Johnson went there. That's what this movie is. And that's kind of how I feel about it now. It doesn't go to the places that it needs to go. It doesn't do justice to what Star Wars has been for all these years, and just plummets so hard. on so many levels. And all in all, it's just a boring experience. This was the first Star Wars movie in our watch through. One of the first out of all of our multiverse monologues, marathons, where I was bored.
Out of anything we've watched for the podcast,
One of the first ones. I mean,
Ewok films.
I had fun because it was new content at least.
Oh, okay.
Maybe
fair.
rewatching Ewok films,
Electra?
I'll be like, all right, this is boring. Electra was boring.
Yeah,
Yeah, I said it was one of the first.
one of the first.
It's been a while. And
Howard the Duck.
Howard the Duck. No, come on, man. Shut up.
Shut up.
Yeah, Rise of Skywalker made me rise out of my seat and into my bed.
Nice.
Yeah, it was. I wish that I liked this movie. I really do, because I remember liking it so much that I went back to the theater the next day. And the sentiment that I heard a lot at the time, if you didn't hear it for Last Jedi before this movie, you definitely heard it for this movie. This was a good movie, but not a good Star Wars movie. And I said that the same thing for The Last Jedi too, where people were saying it, but people were definitely saying it for this movie. And I think it was just a sorry excuse to think that this movie was good, when really it just wasn't. It just wasn't. And I'm interested to hear what Ben's tale is. Ben, how was your birthday present?
So when they announced it, I was like, they said December 20th. I was like, oh, the Thursday premiere. It'll be on my birthday, December 19th. So I got a big group of friends together.
So what's your lead up to this movie? Because you don't enjoy The Last Jedi, and you didn't, or you maybe did at the time and then watched some videos that change your mind. We'll talk about that later.
Definitely not.
Definitely
not.
What was the lead up to this? Because Star Wars is built on hope. Star Wars is hope. You would say you had hope going into this movie?
So, yeah, great question. So it's interesting because, like I said in The Last Jedi, I credit to getting me like so enveloped into the Star Wars galaxy,
Nice.
the Star Wars universe. Like these sequel trilogies, to their credit, I have become such a huge Star Wars fan because of them, because the questions that they raise makes me think, and then it makes me go to better Star Wars content, like extended universe, legend stuff, Clone Wars stuff, Rebels, stuff like that. But this was my like gateway entry. And so after Last Jedi happened and it was just chaos everywhere, I loved my Marvel stuff for a good year and a half, and then Endgame ended, and then I was like, okay, all right, I am fully prepared for Star Wars Episode 9. I watched so many videos for this. Star Wars Theory was huge in 2019. And there were so many theories. Yeah, now I will say this. I don't really... that's a conversation for a different day. But I was so excited. I was for Rise of Skywalker. J.J. Abrams was coming back. Yes. I liked the Force Awakens. And I will say this. The second trailer, the final trailer for The Rise of Skywalker, is the best Star Wars trailer.
So good.
To like ever come out. Maybe ever. It is such a good trailer. There is a swelling Force theme in there. Confronting fear is the destiny of a Jedi. Luke speaking there with hope. And it looked so good. Now, Palpatine being back, that was confusing to me. But I was like, okay, all right. We're going to go in.
It really
These are
well.
confusing
We're going
times,
in. These
as
are confusing
folks said.
times. Exactly. But I got a group of people together, and this was the end. And I heard so much about this movie. Like, John Williams was going to bring like every prequel theme, every original trilogy theme at some point in this thing. I was hyped for that. There were rumors that Hayden Christensen. No, there were rumors that Hayden Christensen was coming back. They had a trailer with Battle of the Heroes. They had a trailer with Battle of the Heroes and Duel of the Fates music, and I bought into it because Disney's marketing was so good. And that night we sat down, and I was flabbergasted at the movie that I saw. I couldn't believe
What a word.
this was what they churned out. This movie is cowardly. It is cowardly. That is the word I would use when describing the Rise of Skywalker.
That's a good
Never
word.
going in one direction. Maybe, and in fact, many of the decisions, it goes both ways, like Micah was kind of talking about, because it couldn't please The Last Jedi was so polarizing that JJ came back and he was so afraid to do any one thing that he did everything at once. And it's terrible.
This
so
feels like he's on his knees begging, please give me money, please give me money.
at the end of
whole
the
thing.
day, like, so I also did see this twice. And I went back to the theater 2 days later on Saturday by myself with no one else.
Empty
Because
theater?
there was a lot
Oh,
of people there, but I didn't go with anyone I knew. And I had to like collect my thoughts because I was like, so much happened.
Well, JJ
And I have to like solidify what I think about this movie.
And I don't want to steal your thunder, Ben, but guys, for as long as this podcast has been going, back when me and Ben used to record on our own, we'd do whatever we wanted. I'd heard rumors of a famous, as Ben called it, iPad rant about this movie.
No way.
Yeah. Yes, dude. So that's why I went. So the next Sunday, I think I was under the weather. Everyone went to church, and I stayed home. And I was like, dude, this is crazy. But like, I was very early days. This was the early days of like formulation of podcast. I had to get my thoughts out there because no one I knew saw it or thought as much. I mean, I had a few
Closeted
guys, but
podcaster.
dude,
Wow.
I sat there and recorded a 20-minute video, and I was just like, "What the?
Post that.
What
We
the
should
what?
post that.
What the
What's
what?
going on? What happened
Do you
here?"
have that video, Ben?
I might actually. I gotta check my iPad. I still have the iPad.
I'll censor it, guys. Don't worry.
What?
but
He swore.
no, I did not swear. But
It's very vulgar.
I think
But
I-
this is a complete side note, but would you say that was the first, like you kind of hinted at it, does this exist because of the Rise of Skywalker?
it was that was the formulation and start of like, I can't just have these thoughts in my head. You know,
I have to say them.
I have to, and not only that, but to speak about this topic with like, when I say educated people, I say like guys who know what they are talking about. You know,
Who? Me?
these freaking guys, man.
It's like when they turn around to C-3PO and he's like,
When I say educated dudes, I'm talking about these guys here
Wow.
because like,
Does educated mean we've seen the movie and can tell you who directed it?
no,
'Cause-
it's the behind the
we're
scenes.
a
educated.
guy who can make a spreadsheet.
I'm
Let's
just
go.
And like, so this, I have been greatly anticipating days like these because even when we started podcasting, it's like one day
One day
we'll get to talk about Last Jedi. One day I'll get to talk about Rise of Skywalker and air so much of my grievances about this freaking sequel trilogy,
Buckle
man.
up, guys.
I just, oh my gosh.
We should have brought the
So-
seatbelts.
So how was it this time?
This time, since I haven't seen it since then,
So now you're a 10 out of 10.
now it's
Rise
so
of-
good, dude.
That score has
So
risen
good.
from the dead.
the dead speak.
I didn't give it scores back in the day. Like
Yeah.
it just wasn't a thing. But
what,
yeah,
what did you think you would have given it back then?
I probably would have given it like a 5 back then.
Wow.
Probably a 5.
Okay.
5 out of 10.
Wow.
I would have given it
Because-
somewhere higher.
There was some things that I kind of liked. I think I specifically remember saying in my iPad review, what we got isn't good, but what we got isn't that bad either. So I probably would have said
So you
like
didn't know how
5
to
out of 10.
formulate an opinion.
Yeah, it's kind of like the safeness of Force Awakens to the extreme because it can't have this mystery box anymore.
It has to give
It has to
J.J.
give
Abrams
yeah.
had to give
gotta do it,
answers to the questions he set up in Force Awakens. And are they good? Do they completely wreck everything that led up to this? Maybe. We're going to talk about it.
I
But
remember enjoying Cats more.
so one of the things that I am really hyped about is that I get to talk with two guys who loved Last Jedi.
Mm.
I know, like, I don't like either of the movies,
Right.
but you guys love it. So hearing you guys say that you aren't big fans, because it does, it craps all
So-
over The Last Jedi.
Because
does.
regardless of what you think of The Last Jedi, J.J. Abrams had the chance to finish this trilogy cohesively. Regardless of the direction of The Last Jedi, you could come into this movie, tell a cohesive story, close Rey's arc out beautifully, close Ben's arc out beautifully, give Poe, Finn, give them all good stories to wrap it up in a nice bow. And you don't do any of that. A word I wrote that I kept feeling time and time again is character assassination. Much like many people thought The Last Jedi was a character assassination of Luke, I think that this movie is a character assassination of Rey, Kylo Ren, Poe, and even the little bit of good character that Finn still had.
And Rose, especially.
Ro-
People
Oh.
hated Rose. Like the loud minority hated Rose. Maybe I hated Rose a little bit too. So she was basically written out of the script.
I don't like Rose as a character. I'll say that right
Yeah.
now. She is not good.
Listen to our last Jedi podcast if you want to hear more about that. But yeah, I totally agree with that. So many characters. Do we want to just jump right into what about Leia? She had some assassination too because she
Whoa.
died in real life.
Yo,
Man.
that's wild, bro.
It is wild, but like I feel that they should have, if any of the characters should have been written out of the script, Leia should have. She should have. It should have been like a Black Panther Wakanda Forever situation.
Yeah.
where
Yeah,
she had
absolutely.
like no screen time, right? Maybe one scene, right? If anything.
Because it's not, we can't be mad about that. Like, she passed
Yeah,
away. R.I.P. Like, if you have to write her out a story, go ahead and do that. But not in the way that
Not
they
like
did.
this, dude.
Not like this.
We get a
man.
combination of deep fake, and I noted this because her force her body stays present throughout the movie until Rey gives her epic speech, and I wrote in my notes like, oh, I guess JJ finished the whole movie and went, wait a second, if Leia's connected to the force, she should have vanished. Let's film a scene of her body vanishing,
Oh man.
joining the force.
So it was a combination of deepfakes, combination of stand-in actors who were facing away from the camera so
Yeah.
that they can lib in different words or dub in different words. And then also it was the addition of Maz Kanata out of nowhere, just like filling in the rest of the idea
Yep.
of what she was going to say
Yep.
off screen. I was like, this felt like one of those bad lip reading videos.
Yeah.
You guys seen those back in the day?
And then
where like they'd be talking about something and then it would cut to a different person who would say something similar to finish the idea, but you know that's not what they were trying to say. It was so clunky, so McClunky, dude.
and every time Rey is talking with her, she's like has to like say stuff to carry on the conversation because Carrie Fisher only has like 3 lines of dialogue in this
She was
movie.
carrying and definitely fishing for lines. That's definitely goes with her voice.
Oh,
Look at Micah with,
Ooh,
man.
with the play on words.
I like
What can I
that, man. Dude.
But
no-
what do you guys think about other aspects of her character? Do you think that Han Solo memory was a Force thing from
it was
Leia?
because of Leia.
It was because of
Yes.
Leia. Yeah. What do you guys think about that?
I think that the scene is like the dialogue exchanged is pretty good, but thinking about even in the theater when he showed up, I just was thinking, yeah, they don't really care anymore.
Even this time, I felt, oh, is that Force Ghost Han? No, that wasn't. He said it's a memory. Is this a? Huh? It was just.
The best is there's an interview with Harrison Ford. So, what do you think it was like to be a Force ghost? And he goes, "What the F is a Force ghost?"
That's awesome. Dude, I actually kind of really like that scene.
I did too.
Like, well, there are a few moments in this movie that I really like. Sprinkles of greatness, I would say.
But-
that specifically is, I think, is really good.
You know what I don't like
that
though?
element.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
just that scene.
By that point in this trilogy, we have heard, I know what I have to do, but I don't have the strength to do it, probably 7 times.
Like twice.
No, Rey says it at least once in this movie. Kylo says it at least twice
In this movie?
in this movie alone.
Is he wrong, Ben?
I believe Micah is capping right now.
Micah doesn't know what he's saying.
He's capping.
Dude,
You
what?
guys don't believe
Not
me.
the specific phrase. I know what I
I've
have
heard
to
it
do
twice.
but I
heard
don't-
it in Force Awakens and I heard it in this.
That's the
from
only
Kylo
time
Ren.
I've heard it.
Yeah.
Maybe once more. But
It seemed very worn at that point.
I mean, that's the whole idea behind his
Because I say it
character,
to
though.
you like every day, Micah.
That's got to be what it is.
Yeah.
wow, probably.
But that scene, I think, is so good because the one element that largely stays pure in this whole trilogy, at least in my opinion, is Kylo Ren Ben Solo. I think his redemption is done the best way it can be using Rey, Leia, and Han.
Yeah.
The three characters who I think should be used for his redemption. Well, there's one more character I'd love to see in there. Honestly, maybe even two more, but that's fishing in the Disney, But I really like that scene. I like seeing Han Solo back again, and I like seeing the juxtaposition of that versus what it was in Force Awakens.
He had the stance. He had everything.
And he throws his lightsaber away, and he's done.
Awesome.
And it's great acting by Adam Driver. Harrison Ford is just there to be Harrison Ford. I gotta say, I love hearing him say, "I know."
That was cool.
It's
Yeah.
really, it's
It's like,
just
Dad.
he says,
know.
"Dad, come on."
Yeah.
Which
Like, I
there
know.
are a lot of lines that are like that. I think that's one of the only ones that works really well.
Yes, I think so. And maybe it's because it's Harrison Ford, and
Most
he
of the
can't.
Emperor's lines are
can't-
just repeated.
Well, it's because when the first time, the only explanation we get is the pathway. The dark side is a pathway to many abilities some consider to be unnatural, and that's what we get. That's why Palpatine's back.
I noted in the movie that just watching Ian McKellen go, or Ian McDermott. Yeah.
Sir.
What? Not. Yeah. Whatever. Wrong dude. You know what I'm talking about. I was thinking, okay, did they even need to bring him back? Because all these lines just feel, oh, we pulled this from that movie. We pulled this from that movie. Oh, yeah. But, I mean, he's there. He's there, and he's, saying lines and doing things, and he's really funky long nails, and he's a
Or
cool,
lack thereof.
like thereof, yeah.
Fingers.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah.
But,
So-
you go ahead, Ben.
Well, we got to talk about Palpatine. Like, we need to
Somehow.
talk about the
He-
return.
He didn't feel anything intimidating like he did in the original trilogy, man.
Well,
He-
but I think that's partly just due to the fact that I don't really feel anything during this movie. There are a few scenes, but it's like Ethan said, I just don't care. I don't care.
I was appalled when he did that super crazy force lightning and the bass just.
Yeah.
I remember in the theater, I audibly went, "Oh, what?"
It's a good sound effect.
Pretty
I like
shock
the
and
sound
all this
effect.
shit.
We hadn't heard a sound like that since the plasma bombs in episode 2.
Yes.
But I think the first 5 minutes of this movie really send the message that, okay, this is going to be garbage.
Yep.
Because
I was
you meet Palpatine and he's like, my new fleet shall rise from somewhere. I don't know where it came from, but rise.
fully stocked and fully armored. Like everyone.
Each ship is as powerful as
What's
a Death
crazy
Star.
about it is if you even think about it for a second, they built all of these freaking Star Destroyers. There's thousands of these things underground, and then in an epic reveal,
They emerge.
they emerge and break open the barrier of the ground.
Sick.
Like you guys didn't think to
It's
build these anywhere
Above
else
ground?
They had to
How
be-
about that simple?
They have to be hidden, guys, because
for us.
or else
so that
they'd know he'd come.
But what about Exegol? Exegol's already hidden. You needed one of two items in the whole galaxy
Yeah,
to get there.
what about the First Order struggling to find recruits, like to steal?
Yeah, because they were all on Exegol, dude.
And Exegol has
So
this
qu-
whole army.
Question: Who? So Palpatine is there. He has like a coliseum full of
Sith acolytes.
things. They're Sith acolytes.
Yes.
What is that?
They are worshippers of the Sith,
Oh
basically.
wow! And they're that.
That's
Acolyte-
what the lore says.
Is acolyte a worshiper? Is that what that means? Because we have the show
They're
the
a
acolyte.
worshiper, a follower
Okay.
of the Sith. Not a Sith, but someone who worships the Sith religion, essentially. And yeah, it's a cool visual.
when I was watching that, I was wondering because they all have hoods.
Yeah.
It's like, are those all failed Palpatine clones?
Could have been.
Could be. You know, I mean,
Maybe the entire Final Order army is just a bunch of Snokes. A bunch of just Snokes, and they're all force sensitive,
my boy.
and they all are Andy Serkis. Why didn't Andy Serkis just play as Palpatine and then we call it a day?
Whoa. See, that would have been even more disrespectful, I feel like.
It would have been, but
Already,
you could add the voiceover
but dude,
still.
here's the thing. Ian McDiarmid, he was having a great time,
He's still
man.
awesome.
He was loving it. Like, they had the trailer reveal at Star Wars Celebration, and he came out and he was like, roll it again. Like that, he was having a great time. So
Tell you what, when he appears at the end in his black and red garb, I immediately thought of y'all. And for those of you that don't know, throughout the whole marathon of the Star Wars marathon, there has been a Sheev Palpatine photo that we've had on our screen, and it is this fit.
Yes.
It is Palpatine looking as clean as ever with his new robes.
he
So-
does. He's looking good at the end.
The whole theme of Star Wars is evil and redemption, right? Like that's one of the big themes, and we see that hope, right?
Yeah.
And in Episode 6, there's the redemption of Vader.
Mm-hmm.
And that question is brought up again here. You know, should Palpatine have been killed? Should he have been redeemed in some way? Or was he too far off the deep end? Did Rey still exhume the dark side by killing Palpatine? What do you guys think?
Palpatine cannot be redeemed. He is the one character in Star Wars who cannot. He is evil
So that's the
for
explanation.
evil's sake. Well, Vader is your redeemed character. Kylo is your redeemed character. Like, the Emperor is just the bad
If you're
guy,
thinking
you know?
in like biblical terms, he's the devil.
Yes.
Devil can do
Yep.
nothing to redeem himself.
Yes.
What about what happened to the dark side of the Force when he died? Did Rey become a gray Jedi?
Rey brought balance to the Force as Anakin did
Good.
in Return of the Jedi.
Good on Rey.
Yeah,
Good.
Rey burying.
So really,
Leia and
Rey
Luke's
was
lightsabers.
the actual chosen one.
I mean, she's a Skywalker.
I love how they threw that in. They brought Hayden back to throw that in there so that the fans wouldn't get upset. Because now we know that they thought about it. They're like, oh, people are going to get mad that Palpatine's back because it goes against the whole Chosen One prophecy. So we have to bring Hayden back and have him say, bring balance to the Force,
so
as I did.
Ben, famously, this movie's explanation for how Palpatine returns is
You're using famously,
It-
infamously.
famously,
Oh,
infamously.
infamously.
I think both work. I've heard it both ways. Somehow Palpatine returns.
Yeah, that's infamous.
What is the, Ben's lore master here on our podcast. What is the lore behind his return? How did he successfully pull this off?
The lore behind this return is actually playing out right before our eyes in many of the Star Wars expanded universe shows.
Yeah,
the
it's
Bad
right here.
Batch, The Mandalorian,
Opening crawl. That's all you need.
Ahsoka, even Resistance, I think, actually may
So-
hint
So
towards
Dave
this.
Filoni is single-handedly taken
So
the sequel trilogy on his back and has
That's
decided.
been his whole goal with
just
Mandalorian.
fixing
and,
everything.
sweeping
know?
the floor.
So, yeah, he experiments with cloning. This is a clone of the Emperor. I want to set that record straight. If it's confirmed by the novel, but this is not the original body. The original body decomposed, but his spirit, in essence, his essence transfer, which
so
is a
timeline,
Sith
Vader
ability, yeah.
chucks him
Yep.
in that pit on the Death Star.
Yes.
In that fall, his spirit transfers to a new.
Yes.
Body.
That's how
He had one ready to go.
very powerful Sith across the millennia have used that ability. It's called essence transfer. So we can assume that Palpatine has that. And I'm not going to lie, guys. I don't mind the idea of Palpatine coming back. This does not do that idea very well. But just the fact that he is back does not upset me.
It upsets me. Yeah.
And I'm
just-
not like the idea of him being back. The execution of him being back is terrible. But the idea of him being back
I mean, yeah.
is not a bad thing in my opinion. And I like that we have other media expanding upon this because in 2019 this was just thrust upon us.
Yeah.
You know, the dead speak, he's back.
I mean,
What?
Star Wars new canon was so new at this point. There wasn't enough to establish this in the general audience. So
He actually comes back though in Legends. In the 90s,
yeah.
there was a Dark Empire story with Palpatine coming back.
But that was decanonized, and that's why everyone was so
Yes.
freaked out.
yes.
Like, how did this? What?
So I was going back and I was like, was there any foreshadowing to Palpatine's return? Was there at all?
in the sequels?
And yes, there actually is. But it's only due to John Williams. Was he the only one who had this in the bag, in his brain?
I mean,
Because Rey's theme is a play on the Emperor's theme. If you play it certain ways and change a few little notes, he has said this himself, that it's a play on the Emperor's theme.
Oh, yeah.
And we watched The Last Jedi. The Emperor's theme plays as Snoke is torturing Rey. And I did not know, I noticed that for the first time when we watched The Last Jedi. The Emperor theme plays when that happens. So there may have been some foreshadowing there. He said it plays right after he says, "I bridged your minds." And Palpatine says that in this movie. So maybe there was a little bit of hints. I mean, we definitely know
Somehow.
that maybe JJ was building towards this. Ryan threw all of that away if that was the case, because Palpatine is not mentioned at all in this movie.
Or in The Last Jedi, you mean?
In The Last Jedi is
Yeah.
what I mean. I'm sorry, yes.
He's very much mentioned.
So John Williams, as a barkeep in The Rise of Skywalker,
Cameo.
probably heard some things. He was,
Could be.
yeah.
Yeah. It's
But-
just, why? I guess that's my point. Why?
Why?
You know, that's all I have to say.
It does beg the question, okay, why didn't you just give JJ a whole trilogy? Because I would love to see how how would this look?
Yep.
How would it look? Because this movie is so much cleanup from The Last Jedi, and a lot of cleanup I really, really hate. I honestly loved the 2-year span where Rey was no one. I absolutely adored that. I thought it was so cool how the Force has just decided that Rey is special for some reason. But this movie decides that that's not the case. And kind of backtracks a lot of what The Last Jedi did. And the biggest thing, Hux is just nothing now. Literally garbage, the way they handle his character. I'm the spy. And then he dies right away.
He's kind of garbage in The Last Jedi, too. He doesn't do much in there.
Nah.
He gets thrown around like a rag doll, dude. He's a joke.
He gets a yo mama joke. And that's
Yeah.
it.
Which is great.
That's it.
He
General Hugs.
he was good in Force Awakens, and then his character took a massive dip. It's like, what? He's a spy now? They fly now?
He spies now.
He spies now. What's
You know what else?
every decision? Go ahead,
Another
Micah.
another big part of this movie that one of the biggest critiques that I hear people say is that force healing is a huge plot hole that shouldn't work. Because in Phantom Menace, why didn't Obi-Wan just force heal Qui-Gon? You know, why didn't Luke just force heal Darth Vader at the end of Episode 6? And yeah, you can ask those questions, but guys, they didn't think of it until Rise of Skywalker with that snake. Come on.
Come on.
Come on, guys.
Rey is.
I don't see it as too far-fetched. So they explain it as the Force essence being transferred, right? That's how Palpatine survived. So why isn't it in micro doses
And
being able to heal things? Sure.
I love the way that, because, yeah, I remember the critiques, and even in this movie, it's kind of hokey, and I know Ben's bubbling, but the way that Alec
We've seen the
Guinness,
Force do weirder
the way that Alec Guinness describes a force, he's like, it's in all living things.
Yeah.
It surrounds us. It binds the galaxy together. Right? If the force is already in all living things, why can't you somehow learn to transfer your energy to someone else?
So
and it's the learn part that's weird, because how would Rey have known to be able to do this? I don't know.
Force Ghost training.
I guess
Force
it was
healing,
in
dude.
I guess it was in the book, the Jedi texts.
Force healing isn't a new thing. Like it's been in many Star Wars video games, used as a video game mechanic.
Yeah.
Force healing, but it's not like a new thing. Jedi have used it before, but it's how they use it in this.
That's not
and
how
to
the
the
Force
extent that they use it in this, because it goes to our point that it never can make a decision on what the movie wants to do. We're going to kill Kylo. No, actually, we're not going to kill Kylo. Let's not do that thing at all then.
And then Raylo is going to freak out here because they're going to make out.
Right.
That'll be sick.
But it's going to be a friendship kiss.
Another cool thing that I want to backtrack on that I said famously in our episode, what was it, 5 or 6, where Vader throws his lightsaber and then Force grabs it to, while still in midair. Rey does this in her training sequence.
Yes.
I said that it hadn't happened since episode 5, but it happens here. So there we go. Another thing that I want to add about the Jedi texts is that's how they found out that Luke was trying to find this Jedi or the Sith Wayfinder, but that wasn't brought up at all as Luke's motive. So there's this whole subplot about them trying to find this Jedi navigator, right? Or was that the main plot? I can't remember.
It's about 5 minutes. So.
Yeah, and Luke was looking for this Jedi navigator to find Exegol?
They made a whole novel about this, actually, yeah.
Did you read it?
Nope.
Oh.
There are better Star Wars books out there.
I think I would have rather heard that story than what we hear in Rise of Skywalker. I think that should have been at least hinted in Last Jedi if it were true. But it's just something that J.J. Abrams pulled out of his Dagobah swamp.
And it feels like Abrams decided that with this movie, he was just going to ignore so much of the last movie.
Oh,
Even
yeah.
the
I've heard-
line that punched me the hardest was when Force Ghost Luke appears and he goes, Jedi, a weapon, whatever he
a
says.
Jedi's weapon deserves more respect.
Yeah, that's quote specifically is okay. Well, that is a direct response to the last movie.
You could also see that as The Last Jedi. He grew throughout
Right.
it and
He
had
learned.
respect for, that weapon. Because at the beginning, he
Luke
didn't
Luke
have
does
respect.
have an arc in the Last Jedi.
And then at the end, who has an arc in this movie? Name one arc in The Rise of Skywalker where they are different from the beginning of the movie compared to the end of the movie.
Could do Kylo. So I'll say this.
Kylo,
For sure.
okay, yeah.
One thing that would drastically change the whole outlook of this specific movie, it wouldn't make it good, but if literally the title, Rise of Skywalker, if it ended in the way that we all thought when we watched it in theaters, with Rey dying and Kylo being the living Skywalker carrying on the name, the ending was there. That ending is on the table. And then they decide, actually, there's this cool Force healing mechanic we introduced earlier. Let's bring that back. And I love Rey. I'm a big fan of Rey. Not in this movie. I think what this movie does with her is pretty bad. But I like the character of Rey, but I still think that the right choice is Kylo Ren being alive at the end of this trilogy.
And Adam Driver acts the heck out of this character,
Dude,
man.
so
Throughout
good.
all
Yeah.
three, I feel he's the most consistently written and acted out of all 3 movies. Fantastic.
Good on
Because
him.
that's one of the few things that Rian Johnson saw that he actually liked from J.J. Abrams. So he's like, okay, I'm going to continue this. So his character suffers the least of anyone. But you said you don't like Rey in this movie, Ethan?
I kind of mentioned how the characters feel assassinated.
Yeah.
And Rey feels very just annoying in the first part of this movie where they're talking about kind of around the same time she talks to Leia.
Yeah.
She just the dialogue and the dialogue of this whole movie is really bad. And I loved, Micah, you texted us earlier how you're like, I feel exhausted in this dialogue. Yeah. It's
Oh,
so
man, the
fast,
first,
so
like,
quick paced.
30 minutes, there's so much stuff going on. And they're just yapping about a whole lot of
There
nothing.
is no time to breathe in the, I wrote it down actually when the first real character moment happened. Do you guys want to guess how far into the movie it was? And who it was?
Well, I can see an argument for when they're in the Falcon for the first time. But
But like the
When do you
first
think?
character moment where I felt like this is a time where we're actually sitting with a character and they feel
When?
real. It was when Poe met up with his old friend, whatever her name is, Carrie.
Zori Bliss.
Zori, played by Carrie Russell,
Yep.
correct? Yeah. So Zori, when they're sitting there and they're talking in the rain, that was the first scene in the movie where I felt like this is a real scene with a character. And he's talking about how they win by making us think we're alone. I thought that was a great moment in the movie. And I don't like what it builds to and the scene that it builds to, but I think that is a great sentiment for just enemies in general. How do they win? They win by making you feel alone, and you're not alone. Right? I thought that scene was great, but that was the first scene in the movie where it felt like a real cohesively written scene.
And I think I know why. I think I'm all for fast-paced movies, right? I'm all for action. I'm all for, that Millennium Falcon chase. It was pretty good. That was all right. But it wasn't like peak. All right. It was just okay.
It was all right. It's suitable.
Yeah. They don't have reaction shots of characters. They don't have establishing shots of landscapes.
Many times, yeah, I noticed that too.
They don't have any. What was the third one? They don't have any. So yeah, reaction shots and landscapes.
Musical cohesion
Those are the big
in
ones.
this entire freaking movie.
Yeah.
It's either you're
And-
rushing through an action scene or you're rushing through dialogue.
Yeah, and those are huge to establish where you are, what you're doing, who are these characters, what are their motives. And it's not that it's going too fast, we get lost. It's going too fast that they don't have enough dialogue to back it up.
And-
there's so much yapping about nothing.
And-
They're just trying to retcon what's going on in The Last Jedi so that they can pick you up, catch you up to speed for what's going to go on here. That's this movie's biggest sin, is they lose you in the first act and they don't pick you back up.
Yeah. Yeah. It just goes so fast. You're not given a chance as an audience member to breathe. And I don't want a movie to be slow. I don't want that. But you want to be able to breathe and comprehend what is happening, understand where your characters are, where it's going, and just care about anything. But there's no time. It's go, 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 go. Oh, here's Lando. Go, 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 go. Here's an epic sequence. And then the movie's over.
Yeah. Those are the two.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Even Lando showing up, it's okay. Wow.
It's like this movie needed to be half an hour shorter, but also half an hour longer at the same time because they focus on the wrong things. They focus on trying to, move past Last Jedi and just throw these characters on screen because you need Finn, you need Poe, and they need to do something on screen. But what they do on screen is just like be next to Rey and then nothing.
Poe stinks in this movie.
Oh, I
does.
really wanted to like Poe so bad. Finn and Poe's lines felt like they didn't want to be there. Like they just had to go to work and act that day.
Yeah.
That's how it felt. Rey and
Both of
Kylo,
them,
they felt
yeah.
like they
There are a few.
They were all right.
Because the Rey and Kylo dynamic is something that was so strong in the last one, and what they bring over from the Last Jedi into this still works really well between those two characters. But Poe is like nothing in this movie. But there are more of us, Poe. Poe doesn't really do anything.
Finn and Poe feel like almost the same character.
And the biggest thing I hated about Poe is he's kind of like our Han Solo for this sequel trilogy. But then this movie, they doubled down on, he used to be a spice runner, guys. He was a shady guy. Look, he can hot rod. No, what's the
Hot
term?
wire,
Hot wire. He can hot wire stuff. He's
Out
a
of
shady
nowhere,
dude.
like why wasn't that implemented in the first Force
Like we
Awakens?
can't just have a
Yeah.
guy who is a pilot in the Resistance because he
Out of
just
the kindness
was
of his heart,
right,
Dude.
He had to be bad.
Because his lore is he grew up on Yavin 4. Like that was his whole thing. He going into it, Oscar Isaac was like, I want someone to be Guatemalan, like to be raised on Yavin 4 because that's who he is, and he wanted that representation. That's where Yavin 4 was filmed. And he wanted that. And if he's a spice runner, then how is he? I feel like that's kind of contradictory to what Oscar Isaac wanted as a character. And another aspect of Finn's character that I hated was that they drop any relationship with him and Rose, sure. And then they add
This
this
random.
random Finn but girl character. It's just Finn but girl.
Throw it like
So dumb.
we have time, JJ, to meet a new character and get her backstory. And wait.
Well, I mean, we still had another hour of the movie.
Is she Lando's daughter? Is that what you're alluding to? What?
Let's go find out.
I
Even
can't
more
wait for that.
mysteries.
Oh,
You have time to set up more mysteries, JJ.
Good
I
stuff.
Great idea.
was just uninterested.
There's even a line that Finn says to Poe, "I'll tell you when you tell us about all that shady stuff you do." And I'm like,
Poe, a Star Wars
what,
story?
What shady stuff?
Poe is
We haven't
shady.
seen Poe do any shady stuff
What is
this
the
whole
thing?
trilogy.
What is the thing that Finn wanted to say to Rey? What was it?
I'm a Jedi. I'm force sensitive.
Yeah.
I
It's
love
so
you, Rey.
dumb.
Force sensitive. What is it? I need
It's
to know.
the Jedi
It's
thing.
the
Force
it
thing.
was? Are
yes,
you sure?
it
That's
is.
what
it is. That's what they're
Every
building
audience
to.
member was thinking of. It's like,
Oh, I was thinking it was his confession to Rey.
We know that he likes her. Like that's not. A
No,
reveal.
they're
That's
really good
nothing.
friends, guys. The
Guys.
Raylo thing is what they decided to
Yes,
lean into,
yes.
I guess.
The Ray and whatever kiss.
The kiss
I-
of friendship.
I was really disappointed when Kylo kissed Rey, or no, Rey kissed Kylo, because I was really hoping for Finn, and I was a Finn Rey. That's a Rey Finn?
Frey.
A Frey? A Rin?
So was the term Force dyad said in the last movie, or is that new concept for this?
I think this is new for this one. I don't think the
So-
dyad in the Force.
So what is the dyad? Because it's the link between Rey and Kylo.
the link
Two
That's
that
just
was
super powerful
established-
Force users have established a dyad in the Force.
So that's just the term given to what JJ established in the last movie. Okay.
Yes.
Or Ryan Johnson
It has since
established.
then been theorized that other characters in the Star Wars galaxy are dyads in the Force.
Would Luke and Leia be a dyad?
No.
No? Why not?
Because a dyad in the Force is stupid. No, it's not. It's not. I mean, I don't know. I don't know why it needs to be called something, because they literally say that Palpatine is the one that bridged their minds. So it's not a dyad. It's,
Yeah, so according to lore, it is something that you can create. So Sidious tried and failed to create a dyad with Darth Vader, but he the dyad was formed naturally between Kylo and Rey, apparently.
but
But
see,
Snoke-
that doesn't make any
Snoke
sense,
did it.
because
But
Snoke
Snoke
says
did it?
he did it, aka Palpatine.
So what is Snoke according to this?
He's a clone.
I know he's
Right?
a clone, but is he a failed clone of
He's a
Palpatine?
failed Force-sensitive clone, right?
Yes. Because
So that's what they were trying to do.
For
That-
a while, that's what it was, and then the essence of Palpatine would be transferred into that clone. I guess they just made it so far it's to the point where they were reanimating his body, I guess, and that's where his essence would transfer into. But they don't give answers to that. There is no answers. It's all left up in the air. And I don't even know if answers would fix this. It would just help me understand the bad plot that was in this movie. Because Palpatine's main objective is what? At the beginning of the movie, kill Rey. And then when she gets to Exegol, he says, I never wanted to kill you. You are going to kill me. And my essence will transfer to you. And it's like the whole time in the movie. Now the rest, every time I watch this movie, I'm going to be thinking about how that's not your actual goal. And you wanted actually this. It's more of the same of just, okay, we're going to go in this direction. Actually, no, we're going to go in the opposite direction. Same
What
thing happens
was
with
he
Chewbacca.
cooking?
Same thing happens with Chewbacca. Oh, Chewie's dead. 5 seconds later, nope, he's actually alive.
Can't
He's
commit
still
to
alive.
anything.
No one thought he was dead, though,
I did.
right?
I did.
thought he was dead.
Both
In
y'all
the
thought
And I
he
theater.
was
dead?
pissed because I was like, are you kidding me? That's how they're
That's
going
how
to kill Chewie?
because
At the
of all
expense of Rey?
the unceremonial send-offs that we were just shocked with. I mean, Han his was okay, right? He died. We didn't expect it. Then episode 8, Luke dies. We were like, what? He just died? And then 9, Chewie just blows up? That would have been the worst way they could have done that. And I'm glad that he didn't actually die, but it was a good fake out for me because I thought that they were going to kill off everyone thought that they were going to kill off every OT character by the end of this movie. They thought that Lando was going to die because he was introduced in the trailer too, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. They thought Palpatine was going to die. They thought Chewie was going to die. They thought Leia was going to die, obviously.
So I have a question for you guys. Since you guys are such big Last Jedi defenders, big fans of that movie, what pisses you off the most about this movie that they retcon? Because that is a conversation we need to have. But of all the things that this movie does,
hands down, Poe Dameron. Him not being as competent as he was at the end of The Last Jedi, what they set up for him, complete waste of the movie then. Last Jedi, complete waste because of Rise of Skywalker.
that's the biggest thing you would
That's
say?
the biggest thing for me because I'm such a big fan of what Poe could have been.
That's true. You did love this character.
What
yeah.
The Last Jedi set up, that was the whole point of that movie. You could say that Poe Dameron was the protagonist of The Last Jedi because the plot with Holdo circled around Poe maturing in his capabilities as a commander or whatever, captain, whatever he was. And for him to just go on some side quest for this entire movie means that he didn't learn anything from The Last Jedi.
Mm.
Why did we watch it? Same thing with Poe. Just a waste of time.
Finn. Yeah.
Sorry, Finn, a waste of time.
Yeah. And a waste of the actor's time.
A waste of the actor's
Made him
time.
They
show-
hate it, especially John Boyega. I feel bad for him.
Made him
man.
show
Oh.
up and do garbage.
Have
But to me, the thing that angers me most is just that you were so desperate that you had to pull Palpatine out of your back pocket.
that's mine.
You
Yep.
just
You
had
could
to.
have done Darth Jar Jar. Come
No,
on, guys.
The thing is, the opening crawl says it. I mean, the opening crawl of this movie says a ton, but it says Kylo Ren, the new Supreme Leader. It says that in this opening crawl. That's what I wanted going into this movie. I wanted, because Kylo Ren's arc can still be the exact same in this movie. He can still have all this turmoil, and you could still have that scene with Han and him, and you could still have him by the end of this movie be on the light side. You can have all this emotional character work done with Kylo Ren, and you don't need Palpatine in this movie. Just you should have had Kylo Ren be the big bad of this third movie. It would make the whole trilogy cohesive. You could have the Rise of Skywalker, and it could be him. And it could be just like the Return of the Jedi. This title could literally mean the same thing. It's just and it would repeat. I mean, it would mirror what came before. But you don't need the Emperor in here. What are we doing? It's felt so cheap to me that you felt, because that's what The Force Awakens was. It was, okay, I'm going to pull all these old elements, throw it into this story. Yeah, I'll put some new elements here, but we're going to rely so heavily on the old stuff that you can't help but like it. But like Abrams was sitting there thinking, well, who can my bad guy be? Snoke is dead. It can't be Kylo. Kylo's definitely not. Palpatine. Somehow, Palpatine will return.
Have you heard his reason behind it?
Tell me.
He said in an interview, well, we need a villain for this. Already his thought process was Kylo's not going to be it.
Yeah.
And he said, well, who's been the villain this whole time? Palpatine. It's only fitting that we end this saga with Palpatine.
Which that
That's
that
his
logic
reason.
makes sense.
How much
It does
of
not.
Disney's hand was in this final movie?
So
Was
much.
Disney the one that
Oh,
elected
yes.
to return Palpatine?
And that is the biggest, in my opinion, the biggest flaw that they have making each one of these films.
Disney.
Their biggest flaw is listening to the fans.
Mm-hmm.
Look at each and every one of these movies. The Force Awakens. People do not like prequels. Shove that out the door. This is going to be an homage to those movies that people loved, and it'll get people back into Star Wars. Honestly, it did that. So they took that and ran with it. And the one thing that they heard against The Force Awakens was that it wasn't original enough. It did not take any risks. So what happens next? The Last Jedi takes so many risks. Risks that pay off for a few people, and it doesn't pay off for more people, you know? Like, so then you just have, you know, a whole mess, and people who are so angry at this and kind of happy with this, and so Disney doesn't know what to do. So in The Rise of Skywalker, that's what happens. You get everything. You get, okay, well, fans didn't like this, so let's do this. but they did like this, so let's continue this. They hated Rose. Oh, she has to stay with Leia. You know, she can stay there. And it literally, Kelly Marie Tran was in an interview. She goes, the interviewer asked her, "I'm so excited to see where the story takes Rose." And Kelly Marie Tran says, "Oh yeah, me too." Meaning she still doesn't even know. She doesn't know where the story goes because she doesn't have anything to do in it. Luke Skywalker, people hated Luke Skywalker. No, he's hopeful. And I do agree with you, Micah, that it kind of makes sense that he would be hopeful. He learned his lesson now. But a Jedi's weapon deserves more respect. That is a total dig on The Last Jedi and all of the fans who did not like Luke throwing his lightsaber away. So that's what happens. And because that is the reason, because that's what happened, because you decided to listen to the fans in every one of your movies instead of crafting a wholly original story, as much as I dislike The Last Jedi, guys, as much as I dislike it, I would have preferred if Rise of Skywalker was, as Ethan said, a complete continuation. If Rey was no one, and if Kylo Ren was the big bad in this movie. And you know what? Have you guys heard Colin Trevorrow's script, the original ideas for Episode 9 before JJ took over and before Colin Trevorrow
I've seen
said,
the art book.
"I'm done"?
The art book was insane, wasn't it?
Rey has a double-bladed lightsaber and faces off in an epic battle versus Kylo Ren. There is no Palpatine. There is actually this ancient Sith Lord that Kylo Ren starts to take teachings from. Now, it would have continued with Luke Skywalker being a terrible character, but Luke Skywalker also would have had a huge role in this movie.
Like Force Ghost?
Oh, huge.
Yeah.
Hugely. The line, "Strike me down and I will always be with you," to Kylo Ren, it's basically him haunting Kylo Ren throughout the story of Episode 9, saying, "You did this wrong. This is wrong. You need to turn from your ways." You know? Stuff like that. Finn would have led a stormtrooper rebellion on Coruscant, facing off against Chancellor Hux and the First Order. And at the end, Chancellor Hux, commits suicide with a lightsaber
really
guillotine.
Cool. What does Poe do?
I'm
Does he
not
help
sure.
fight with
I think
Finn?
he's with Finn, but Finn is with Rose on Coruscant, leading a stormtrooper rebellion
That would have been so
on
cool to go
Coruscant.
back to Coruscant.
Coruscant. Oh yeah, it would have been sick. There is this Tar Valum, I think is his name. He's an ancient Sith Lord that Kylo takes teachings from. That was really, really cool. That's your way of having that old ancient Sith knowledge. But Rey becomes a huge, epic, really cool character. Now, I'm not saying that I would have, necessarily agreed with everything that happened, but at least it would have continued the story. My point, it would have continued off and it would have said something. Rey was her own character. And Kylo Ren, I don't believe he gets redeemed at the end of it. But at least it continues on, and at least this feels like a more cohesive trilogy. Because now, whether you like The Last Jedi or not, you have The Rise of Skywalker that can't make up its mind whether to follow up the themes that The Last Jedi put out. In fact, most of the time it says, screw those themes. I prefer to continue what The Force Awakens kind of set up. Except this is the finale. So now I don't know what to do, That's what The Rise of Skywalker is. It's terrible. It's just an amalgamation of a studio who's supposed to have a huge story group and planning it out, saying, you know what? We're just going to go after what the fans want, because if what the fans want, that's what people... And it actually makes you go back and admire what George Lucas did, because even though he was ostracized for his prequel trilogy, he did his story. He put out his vision for that prequel trilogy. And whether you like it or not, it's cohesive from beginning to end, from 1 to 6. There is a through line for that idea. But when you go 1 through 9, it kind of gets messed up. But I mean, that's kind of my long-winded way of saying that Rise of Skywalker messes up everything. It messes up everything. Mm-hmm. Even as a fan, like you guys are, even if you like the last two movies, it doesn't work. It doesn't work for anyone.
Even with the extended series that have come out since that Dave Filoni has tried to polish this turd. Still doesn't work. And everyone's like, oh yeah, all this new content, it's going to make the sequels make sense. It still hasn't. And we are 5 years removed now. Oof. I just don't think it's going to happen. It's just poorly written. This is poorly written.
It is.
There's no coming back from this.
Because all of it is, they didn't like that.
Do you
So
guys
let's
have
do
a
this.
moment when watching this where you just like, oh yeah, that is so terribly written?
When the, I was going to say the cloud scene.
Out,
Cloud scene.
they fly now.
They fly now.
They fly
When-
now. Is
I would say
just a picture of incompetence.
in
when
the-
Leia's talking to Rey, all of those scenes, especially the one with Maz Kanata where it cuts to her to finish the line, it was awful.
So we haven't mentioned C-3PO yet. C-3PO is really, really, really bad in this movie. Or do you like him,
I
Ben?
think he was better in this one than Last Jedi.
Yeah,
I think C-3PO is like my favorite part of this movie.
really.
But
I'm not
really hated when he turned around and Poe was like, "What are you doing? What is this? What is it?"
Goodbye to my friends.
That line. No. Just Poe's line. Like, C-3PO would have been fine if nobody said anything. But that was very Marvel-y, Disney-like.
Wait,
For someone to say a quip on it.
yeah. The thing in this movie that killed me the most in the theater was, first of all, when it's in the trailer too, when C-3PO was like, let me take one last look at my friends. Okay, whatever, C-3PO, these aren't your friends. Then they wipe his memory, and then R2 gives it back. But when he can't reinterpret the Sith language. Okay, I thought there's a cool nod though to the council. He's like, I don't know, it actually made Palpatine seem really smart because he's like, protocol droids can't
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
read Sith.
Yep.
And they establish this back, on Coruscant in the council. Like, oh, that's cool. That makes Palpatine even smarter retroactively. But so he's like, everything you need to know is on this dagger. That's what he says. And then the whole dagger is terrible. That's my thing. So they just happen to land on this whatever planet. Just happen to land on or actually they crash. They crash a Millennium Falcon on the planet. Just happen to be in the exact perfect spot where they need to be for the dagger to work.
The Millennium Falcon lands vertically, not horizontally. So the landing gear didn't matter. They didn't have to crash land for that.
So if we're talking about, okay, weird artifact brings you to a random location, this is the worst possible way to do this. And the best possible way to do it, I would bring Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Oh,
when
yeah.
Indiana Jones is in the temple and the sun has to hit the gem just right.
Yes.
And it
This
reveals
is the worst Indiana Jones movie.
But what's the
It's
how does that work?
It's beyond stupid.
What
If
is
you
the
think
It's
about
beyond
it,
stupid.
you start asking questions like, when was this knife made? It had to have been made after episode 6. But like, if
how stupid are you making that
Dude.
map though? Because you're sitting there somehow tracing the outline on a knife, and then okay, here this little thing will point
Hey,
exactly where
the Force made it.
the Force.
What if you stood
This movie really
5
leans
foot to the
into-
left?
Yeah, this movie really leans
Or what
into
if-
the Force as a predestinated, like,
Yeah,
thing.
because they use it as a crutch. Bad Star Wars stories use the Force as a crutch so they can accomplish whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
And this is the worst offender of it.
It's that ship because the Force told me it's a feeling.
Right. Oh yeah. When Finn's saying, "Oh yeah, he's there." How do you know? A feeling.
That was cool though. I like that.
That was the only time it worked.
It's like
well.
his little Force sensitive stuff.
But it
His
it
Force
uses
sensitive
that
stuff?
the plot. You have to look at it in relation to how it moves the plot along, and it's like, what? This is what we're doing.
Everything is so clunky.
But we have to go back to the dagger because
Yeah.
it's still, we haven't covered how stupid it is. We've said it's stupid. It's beyond stupid. No, come on. This just, how did no one see this? And
This is MacGuffin the movie.
'Cause
There is no explaining.
That's
it.
why I wanted to
That's
watch
it.
some of JJ's interviews before this, and I didn't get a chance to. I didn't even get a chance to listen to his commentary. But did JJ think
that doesn't exist.
this was good?
There
It
is
doesn't
no
exist.
commentary.
Yeah, I don't
He
think
didn't make
I don't
one.
think JJ
There's
thinks
no
this
director's
movie's
commentary?
anything.
Wow.
I think JJ really. This is a dumb movie, and JJ is not a stupid guy. He's made some really
What did
smart
he say
things.
about Force Awakens people?
If you don't like this movie, I have all the respect in the world for you, and if you like it, I question your sanity.
Yeah, like
How
who says
now-
that about your own movie
The Force Awakens,
that made $1 billion?
$2 billion.
$2 billion.
It just
I don't think JJ
no.
thinks he hasn't made a movie since this. I'm sorry, JJ. Bye. Yeah, I don't even know what he's
Well,
working
I don't
on
think
currently.
he has to make another movie. I mean,
So-
$3 billion in the bank.
Thr-
Come on, man.
I don't think he thinks this is good, and there's no way that anyone watched this and thought, "Oh yeah, that works. That
Well,
makes
I thought
sense."
it
Yeah.
At the time.
So I just
And you're not a studio head though. You
Yeah.
were a senior in high school.
Yeah.
but so we've been really, really negative. I want to say two positive things about this.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
C-3PO. I really like C-3PO in this movie. I think all we've done, I think the taking one last look at my friends is stupid because, okay, Chewie's
your friend.
all these people are like, imagine how much more impactful that would be if it was Han, Luke, and Leia. Just saying. Put that in your
But
brain.
even in that line, in the scene where they're talking like they have to, wipe his memory, the Rey mentions, or someone mentions, well, R2 has a backup. And then C3 was like, well, those sometimes don't work. So the stakes are taken away in the
Right.
scene right there because his memory will get restored.
Oh yeah, but everything else. See, he's hilarious in this movie. I love all the jokes that he has. Like they're sinking in the sand and they all come down and pose like Rey, Finn, Chewie. You didn't say my name, sir, but I'm all right. Just
Love that.
I love that. He has a lot of those
Or
lines
the
in the
Babu
movie.
Frick. He's one of my oldest friends.
Yes, Babu
That
Frick.
was good. Yeah.
I think he's actually given like some sort of an arc, I guess. But he's great. I love C-3PO in this movie.
For Anthony Daniels to be my 13th movie this year that I've watched with him in it, that's fine.
Yeah, no, I like C-3PO. And the other thing I will say that conceptually, I think this movie is really cool. Conceptually.
Yes.
Like the Sith troopers that you see like 2 shots of in
The
this
Knights of
movie.
Ren.
The Knights of Ren bringing them back.
Going
Love
back to the
that.
crashed Death Star.
The
Yeah.
idea
Cool
of
idea.
Sith
Oh, yeah.
lore being expanded upon,
The
that was kind of cool, but
Kylo Ren coming at Rey in the desert. Like I like the scene. It looks cool, and
Yeah.
that's another thing. I think this movie looks the light speed skipping really visually really
So,
epic.
there are some really great elements that make up an awesome trailer, but individually they're great.
Great point.
And without the scale of a movie, like what I said earlier, it doesn't have establishing shots, it doesn't have times for reaction shots. That's what kills those amazing shots.
Yeah,
Is
like,
you don't have the sense of
so
room.
did you guys know that Kylo Ren is on Mustafar at the beginning of this movie?
That was Mustafar?
That's Mustafar.
If we establish the shot, maybe we don't know.
You see some volcano.
You do.
I figured, is that Mustafa? But
I
half
must
a
have blinked.
second.
You need
I must have blinked.
but you need like a Rogue One like title
I was
in
almost
the- at the
expecting
bottom
it
of
because
this.
how, so Rogue
because
One,
of how quick it is.
Rogue One moves that fast too sometimes, but they give you the title, they give you everything you need, so you don't have to have as many establishing shots.
And I will say this, musically, Rogue One, flips through each scene very cohesively. This movie, I don't know what happened musically, but
Is this
John Williams' score is terrible. in
Yeah,
this.
I was gonna say the same
It's
thing.
so bad.
The only good ones in this movie are reused from previous.
Well, there is one track here called "A New Home," which is at the very end of the film, where Rey is on Tatooine, which I think is really, really good. I think it's really it's a nice bow. It has a good sense of finality and like smallness to it, quaintness. But everything else, they play the music, and it's a huge offense too. They play the music when Luke removes Vader's helmet. Did you guys catch this? On the Death Star when Rey is just there because they're on the Death Star. But the music was there signaling a lighter version of Vader's motif because he was redeemed from the dark side. and yet they're using it just because they're on the Death
Right.
Star.
It's ignoring all the emotions behind the music and just focusing on the location
Yes.
of the music.
Yeah, and they it's especially accented in the Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga game, just how bad the score is because they play the Exegol theme for like, or not the Exegol theme. What's the wave planet with all the water and the Death Star?
Endor.
No, that's a moon of Endor. Anyway, they said it was a moon of Endor. Endor is already a moon.
Well, it's that. I'm sorry, the system.
Yeah, it's the Endor system. Whatever that planet was. Ox 2? Is that it?
'Cause
Anyway.
we've spent a lot of time
with
Endor with the Ewok
With
film.
Luke, the
That-
planet that Luke was on.
No, oh. I don't
Where do
remember
they
what it was
have this
called.
fight on this
Anyway,
poster? Where is
yeah,
that fight?
that one.
One of the moons of Endor.
Yeah.
The old
one of the
Death
moons
Star
of Endor.
planet.
Yes, because that's where.
That song plays for a lot of
Yeah.
the Episode 9 levels.
Yeah, and then they have Yoda's theme playing when Luke lifts the X-wing out of the swamp because
It's all reused. stuff.
because that's what Yoda did in Empire Strikes Back. No, they just because it's like someone put together this score from John Williams' old tracks.
It was a good touch when I found that was the only spot is where all the ships come in and they play the Star Wars theme. I thought that was earned.
And it's funny to
the
see
music.
It is the finale.
the magic of the Force theme when it plays when in the binary sunset scene. The first time you ever hear the Force theme, it's fun to track how less that theme becomes throughout the
Yeah.
course of all these movies. It's like, oh, it doesn't quite slap as hard as it once did.
So before we get into all of our categories here, we have to talk about the ending of this movie because, like it or not, this is where we're at now, and Disney has announced that
More
there
movies.
will be a continuation to this story with Rey as the lead. 15 years from here, but the ending of this film has her adopting the Skywalker name and just on Tatooine.
Hmm.
How do we feel about Rey Skywalker?
Honestly, I feel like that's one of the ones that I brush off. One of the people, everyone says like, "Oh yeah, that was the worst thing in this movie," but I'm fine with it.
That didn't-
I don't really care.
Out of every bad element of this movie, that was the one that I was surprised that people latched onto. Like,
Yeah.
that's why this is garbage. To me, it's not good. It doesn't work. But to me, there's a sense of, well, I'm a Palpatine and this hurts. But the Skywalker name is there. Why not? Why don't I just take that? Right? It's there for the taking. I feel like a Skywalker. So it
You identify as a Skywalker.
Yeah,
Right,
no,
identify as a Skywalker,
I
so-
agree with that. You know, I don't know if I like it.
Like instead of Sith
But-
or Jedi, this is now the new Force wielding is just Skywalker.
the new
I am
term
a-
for Jedi is Skywalker.
I am a Skywalker. Well, not Jedi. It's different from the Jedi.
Mm.
That's a whole thing. But I think this is the new gray Jedi, gray Force user
Yeah.
is Skywalker. Just that's how they're gonna say it.
Do you want to see more of this?
Of
Sure.
Rey?
Of Rey?
Yeah.
I think that her story
Poe,
is not
of
done.
Finn?
This is a saying with literally any character anywhere, but a character is only as good as those who are writing it. So if you take a character like Rey and you look at her in this movie, heck no, I don't want more of this Rey. But if I look at Rey in The Last Jedi, I want a lot more of
I'm
that.
glad Taika Waititi's trilogy was canceled because we would not be able to handle that.
No, I agree. Would not want Taika Star Wars. That would be bad.
Ben, what do you think, real quick, before we move on to lightsaber duels about Rey Skywalker?
It is.
He
what
kinda
it
already
is.
said it.
It is
Yeah.
what it is,
Okay.
man. I just.
It was a weird thing for all the fans to crap on.
Yeah, I agree.
because-
Yes.
Yeah, that's the last thing in the movie. It leaves you lingering with that, so it makes
Yeah.
sense why that's what you leave with. But there are so many elements in this movie that left a bad taste in your mouth that wasn't what I was thinking about when I walked out of the theater.
I want to say before we do this, though, the scene where Rey reaches out on Exegol to all the past Jedi, it just had me very conflicted because I was hearing a lot of cool things, but why I was hearing this was a little like
We'll talk about that. That's the whole thing. The sounds. You love all the sounds and the things you hear. But where they play and how they work,
Everyone who worked on this movie, except for J.J. Abrams, did an amazing job. The SFX, the acting was pretty good.
whoa.
The score, okay, we talked about the
I
score.
blame.
Bad.
You know what who we haven't talked about at all?
Kathleen Kennedy.
Yeah. I blame a lot of
you
this.
blamed Disney. When you blame Disney,
I lump her
she's
in
up
with
there.
that, man.
Which is weird because Kathleen Kennedy is responsible for many successful projects.
Yeah, as a producer, she has had no hand in the actual storytelling.
Is she in the story?
She's the head of Lucasfilm.
Oh, well, yeah, but she didn't write it.
but she
But she okays the idea.
influence it.
Yeah.
There's a very, very strong rumor that it's because of her that They Fly Now is a thing in this movie.
Amazing.
We need
the
to
most
inject-
iconic line from this movie is because of her. Good. Hey, good job.
She
That's what
wanted that,
producers
though.
do.
We need an iconic, trailer laugh out loud moment.
Oh,
That's your moment right
they
there.
fly now.
They Fly Now. And you have John Boyega in all his interviews saying, that line's so stupid. They've been using them since the Clone Wars. I don't know. It's terrible. But a lot of this is Kathleen Kennedy, which I want to talk about more in our Star Wars wrap-up video. So I will
We
leave
put
that.
a nice bow
Yes.
on Star Wars.
That's
So,
right.
Lightsaber duels.
Yes.
I believe we have two here. We have
Dose.
Reylo, and we have Reylo versus Knights of Ren.
You're missing one.
I'm missing
Oh,
one.
you
We get
are.
a dyad fight scene
I guess that's what
that is
Yeah, that's Reylo.
that is. Reylo versus
Reylo.
the Knights of Ren.
well.
Rey and Kylo. But Rey doesn't fight the Knights of Ren.
We're
No,
talking about
only
Rey
Kylo.
versus Rey.
I'm talking about not Rey versus Rey.
But we have to
when
include that,
the scene where Darth Vader's helmet falls on the ground. That is a duel. They're
Oh,
fighting
yeah.
Yes,
with the
that
force
is a duel.
connection between the two of them.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking about.
Dyad. Yeah.
Dyad duel. There we go.
Cool.
So we have 4?
I don't know if the Rey versus Rey Inquisitor is.
They cross sabers. So
They do.
We have to include,
And
dude.
it's kind of cool
We have to include it.
because
Okay.
I like how they flip up that half blade or that double blade,
Our
and then it holds it. That's kinda
standard
cool.
for it would be funny to go back through all the movies and see what we've not included because
Yeah.
we've gotten really we've opened.
Remember,
the
we almost
door.
didn't include Qui-Gon versus Maul on Tatooine.
Yeah, right.
Well, even there's no from Revenge of the Sith. There's no Grievous bodyguards up there. We could, you know, in
It's true.
retroactively we'd throw those up there, but we're
That
not going
movie
to.
just had enough of
It had enough,
peak.
It's true.
just like this movie had enough.
All right.
So
let's
first
do
Reylo duel, that would be the Dyad duel first.
Dyad duel. Yep.
That would be the first duel.
I don't remember it much.
Yeah, it's all right.
I think it is so visually interesting.
Okay.
I agree. I agree with that.
I
That's
really
its
like
big
the Dyad
strength.
stuff.
Yeah.
And the dialogue is some of the best in the whole movie, I think, between the two of them talk. Because
Yes.
But we're not basing them on the dialogue.
right, the
Remember
dialogue doesn't get to play, but visually it's really cool. And I love the switching of scenery and how you can grab some. I love that whole connection that's carried from
No.
from that last movie. But yeah, where do you have it placed right now, Micah?
No.
that.
This doesn't.
A little higher than Throne Room.
What is the
Throne room fight?
Oh
From
no, it's
8.
lower than that.
Lower than that.
Yeah,
Okay, a little lower.
For sure.
I'd put it.
Right there.
Right there. That's a
there's
good play.
Above
I like.
Grievous versus Obi-Wan.
I like that play. Well,
Okay.
no, I would even put it lower than
I like
that.
it. I put it up.
We'll go one more down. How about that?
All right.
Yep.
That's fine
Cool.
with me.
That's good.
I'm not
That's
going to
good.
fight for this
All right.
scene.
Rey versus Kylo.
On the Death Star.
Death Star.
Um,
That one was
The water's cool.
The water's
I
cool. The
think
jumping was
it's
cool.
better than the Dyad duel. I think it's better than Grievous versus Obi-Wan.
The thing that's cool
And
about
that's it.
this
I'm cool
is
with that.
like Revenge of the Sith had a lot of duels in it too. But when you mention the duels in Revenge of the Sith, I instantly go, this is what happened in that duel. This is what it looked like.
But we've also seen those movies.
We've
a lot.
seen them a ton.
This is
but-
your second.
But I just watched this movie.
Yeah, me too.
And Yeah, you watched it today.
I watched it
Yeah.
hours ago.
and
That's a
thinking
good
about
point.
these scenes, they kind of just fade.
Yeah.
You don't really remember them.
I remember the Rey vs. Kylo fight on the Death Star was just a lot of them jumping.
And the way that they're the choreography is critiqued a lot when it comes to these duels, but I think the editing is what is really bad.
Killing it. Yep.
Is the way that it's shot and edited is you don't get to see the fight.
Yeah.
It's close-ups on them swinging, and then another close-up. You don't actually get to see any fighting.
Great point.
That's where I think they suffer. Sure, maybe the choreography stinks, but we can't see it.
Yeah.
I don't see any of the choreography. So, yeah, you can put it there. And for audio listeners and video watchers, they don't even know where we're throwing.
Check it out
this
next
stuff.
week. We're going to be going.
We'll
for the
do
whole
an in-depth
Yep.
throw together.
We're
of
just
this.
ranking them for our ranking list of lightsaber duels. We're putting Rey versus the Inquisitor above the Traitor fight in Force Awakens and below Obi-Wan versus Vader in Episode 4. But the big one is Rey and Kylo Ren versus the Knights of Ren.
That one was
I
pretty
think
cool.
this is the best one.
I would put that.
I love seeing Ben Solo just absolutely wrecking.
I love he
fools.
shows up in like an Old Navy sweatshirt.
Dude,
It's just a black
his fit
sweat. Yeah.
Oh.
at the end is wild.
He looks really comfy.
yeah,
I want
he
that
does.
outfit.
Adam Driver, we need you to show up and film. I'm in
I didn't
I'm in my
remember-
pajamas, guys.
I didn't remember most of this movie, but I did remember that part.
I like where you put that, just above the throne room fight in Last Jedi.
Just
What-
under.
but,
Obi-Wan
all right,
Anakin versus Dooku.
Whatever the
Yes, in
force
episode
logic
2.
is, when Rey puts the lightsaber behind her back, and
That
then
was sick.
Kylo Ren pulls it out of
And
his
he goes-
back, and he's like, I don't know, guys.
He's like, for my next trick.
That's a pretty sick moment.
yeah.
I
Agreed.
like that.
Agreed.
That's how Star Wars laughter should have been, and unfortunately,
It's a good little bit of Han Solo. You
Yeah.
can see that in him. That
Han Solo
cockiness,
does that same
that's
thing.
totally yeah.
Yep,
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
That
it's
was
good
really
stuff. I like that. Okay, we're going with that.
All right.
Cool. All right, awards. Yeah, let's be quick here. Nominated for best original score, best sound effects, best visual effects.
The score
Ouch.
is crazy, bro.
Yeah.
It had the
Grammy
sounds.
nominated for best score soundtrack for visual media, and BAFTA nominations for best original score, best visual effects, best sound. 1-0, and if like the big things. All right, money. It was the first, I believe, Star Wars project to have a lower budget than the previous episode, not including Star Wars Solo and Rogue One. This is the first one that had a budget cut. So this was $275 compared to The Last Jedi's $317 and Force Awakens $245. So it's like they lost hope.
I have a question. What looks better, The Rise of Skywalker or Revenge of the Sith?
What looks better?
Yeah.
Like visual wise.
Yes.
Rise of Skywalker looks more seamless. Revenge of the Sith looks a little more dated,
So it's
but that's just because it's
there's a lot
10
of
years older.
bad CGI stuff in Revenge, just age
14
wise.
Is there?
You're asking like
Yeah.
what looks more beautiful? Like
No, like what's better?
The
in your
better
opinion?
looking movie,
Yeah.
I would say Rise of Skywalker because it's seamless.
like
looking.
shot composition wise, it's Revenge,
Yeah.
but actual VFX, it's this movie.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like there's no shot in The Rise of Skywalker that is better than the shot of Obi-Wan and Anakin on Mustafar fighting. There's no shot better than that. But like
I see
VFX
what you're saying.
wise,
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. They had all hands on deck for this one. So J.J. Abrams directed it, right?
Right.
But then Chris Terrio, I don't know who that is, was involved with the screenplay and the story, where the story was also credited to Derek Connolly and Colin Trevorrow.
Colin Farrell?
Colin Trevorrow, famously the director of all three of the new Jurassic World films, and who was originally contracted to make this film, but he dropped out because he
Gotcha.
was like, "No way am I
And
touching."
who's
this."
Derek
No,
Connolly?
I don't think he dropped out. I think
He
Disney called Abrams and said, "Hey, you have to come do this."
No, he quit.
Oh,
Derek-
Derek
And
Connolly
then
also
they
did
were
the
like,
Jurassic
"Okay,
World
you
movies.
have to come in here and do this."
So the original plan was Derek was still going to come and do this movie?
Derek Connolly
Yeah.
or Colin Trevorrow?
Whatever guy we're talking about.
Colin Trevorrow. Yes.
he was still going to come and do this.
Yes, but he separated from them due to creative differences.
Okay.
All right, now let's get into scores. Rotten Tomatoes critic.
Whoa.
What? Favorite? Oh, favorite.
Oh my goodness.
Sheesh, we're doing everything.
We're just trying to fly
on.
now, you know? We're trying to fly through
I
this.
gotta
We
pee.
come on, not at the end of this. Not at the end of this, all right? Ethan, favorite character. We'll go quick here.
Well, speed run, guys. Just
Speed
like
run.
this movie, we're going to pick
Yep.
the pacing up really quick.
That's right.
Go super, super fast. Favorite character in this is...
You can say Claude. It's
It's a
okay.
good question.
That's
I
mine.
think
You serious?
100%.
I'll go Kylo Ren. I like Kylo Ren. Like Ben
It's a good
said,
pick.
the through
Good.
line for his character is really good. I like a lot of what he is. I just think having Palpatine in the story wrecks a lot of what he needed to be.
Yep.
Great.
So yeah, I'll go Kylo Ren.
Micah?
I'm gonna go curveball here, Chewbacca, because I really felt for him after Leia died,
Yes. Good scene.
and he's sitting there
yeah.
and he's moping around, and then who is it that comes up to him and they're like, "Come on, Chewie, we need you," and he's like, "You're right, for the good of the cause," and then he leaves, and it's like, or when he first finds out that Leia dies, and
Chewie's a beast.
The wailing
Yep.
is really good. Yeah.
Yep.
Good
he
job.
made it worth, and there was no recognition on Peter Mayhew's death in any of this, which kind of sucks. But
Claude. Need I say more? If you don't know who Claude is, look him up. All right?
KLAUD.
He's an absolute beast, and the only reason they got out of that hyperspace fiasco that they were in at the beginning. Ethan, favorite scene?
Favorite scene is the dyad fight between Rey and Kylo. I think it's really cool the way it's switching scenery, the way they're talking. He's like, "I don't know where you are. Like, where are you, Rey? Where are you?"
So that's where you
And then they're fighting. Yeah, I like that whole scene. Really good.
Micah?
are. How can I pick just one?
Just one.
Well, when I got to see the Porgs again, that was pretty cool. Dude, I have no idea.
How about when Luke pulled the X-wing out of the water?
Yeah,
As
that
a
was
Force
alright.
ghost.
I think I almost got chills when the Force ghosts were all talking to Rey while she was. I
Almost?
Especially here in Kanan. He has a very
Think I
clear
almost-
line of dialogue.
Yeah.
So
Hearing Mace
good.
Windu, hearing Qui-Gon. was
Qui-Gon,
big.
yeah.
Yeah. I'll take that one.
That's a good...
The nostalgia bait worked.
The
Yes.
nostalgia bait got me.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Good.
Got me. I'll take it.
Claude. That is I will take Kylo and Han Solo, their conversation in this
yeah.
one.
All right.
I gotta say, that's still in a bad movie, good scene.
I think we covered all the good elements of the movie with our scene selection.
Yeah. If
I'm
you
not even
guys
gonna-
have anything
I'm
we're
not
missing,
even going to
yeah.
talk about how badly they messed up the hyperspace jumping. That doesn't work. that way.
We gave The Last Jedi the same grace, and we don't want to disrespect the Rise of Skywalker fans out there. Also, there are lesser of you,
I had a hard time finding good things that people said on the internet.
but there are some that exist. Some that
Oh,
do
yeah.
like this movie.
Yep.
Comment below why, because I genuinely would love to
Yes.
hear why.
Because, I mean, you've seen it. It's been pretty divisive, these last few films, even the prequel trilogy. But weirdly enough, how strange, we're all pretty much united in the Rise of Skywalker being terrible. So we are all united this time. It's a rare. We haven't seen this since the original trilogy. So leave those comments down below. Yeah.
You say that right before we're going to do our scores in a second. We're divided, but number-wise, I think we're not going to be as
Guys,
divided.
I haven't
Ooh,
given it out of
interesting.
10 since Revenge of the Sith.
Well, no. I mean,
We don't
we've-
like it.
We've been divided.
Yeah.
But this, I think we're going to be pretty much unanimous or right around the same.
We'll see.
We'll see. I mean,
We'll
I
find
guess,
out right
I guess
now.
that's
Let's
true.
do
Yeah,
it.
right. Let's
How
do it.
low does our
So
dislike
our
take us?
Rotten Tomatoes critic score, 51%. Rotten Tomatoes user, 75%. Metacritic critic score is 53%. Metacritic user is a 4.5 out of 10. Letterboxd is 2.5, just a little under 2.5
Stinker.
out of 5. IMDb 6.4 out of 10, averaging us out to a 5.6 out of 10, which is not our. No, wait, it is our lowest of the 9 Star Wars theatrical released movies.
Yeah.
Wow, that's wild, man.
Yeah. Just shy of the Phantom Menace 5.7
Yeah.
and
Is it-
Attack of the Clones 5.9.
Look at that.
Is
man.
it wild, Ben, or is it incredibly accurate?
I would say that. I would say that one, yeah.
But we don't care about
Yep.
these hokey religions and ancient weapons, you know.
We got our own.
We don't care about these scores.
That's right. That is right, folks. And this is the last score. I mean, we
The
technically
last
didn't
melon.
finish the Marvel movie marathon, but this is like the first one where we've
I mean,
covered everything.
I haven't.
We
you
can't be
guys
sad.
did.
I guess that's true.
I have not seen Holiday
Yes.
Special yet.
I know that there are comments out there that want us to do Star Wars TV shows. That's a lot more of a time commitment.
And I say this
Yeah.
one day.
Nope.
One day.
Not for me.
One day. Not
I'm
for
not
you.
One day.
watching
We're not.
this.
We
I'm
started
not
this podcast without you, Micah. We're gonna continue
Yeah,
without
I'm
you.
having a hard time
This
watching my
company.
own shows, guys. I can't
Yeah,
even watch
exactly.
Bad Batch.
So let's do it, guys. Let's do the scores for the final Rise of Skywalker, and we'll start it off with, as always, Mr. Wenslaw.
Guys, thank you so much for giving me the privilege of doing this first.
I'm not looking, I'm not
Micah
looking.
peeked on my
I'm
thing.
not looking.
Right after this movie ended, I grabbed up my notebook and I wanted to compose my thoughts because
Well,
I had a lot and I
Okay.
didn't know how I wanted to boil it down. But I don't like this movie.
really?
I don't like this movie, guys. This movie is exhausting to watch. I think it's a testament to me taking a nap for my viewing of this in the theater. It just throws so much at you, and I don't like all that it throws at you. The dialogue isn't good. It spits on the greatness that I thought a lot of The Last Jedi was. Spits on that. It throws in the trash. It's like, we don't care about you. The Palpatine's plan doesn't make sense. His return doesn't make sense. I mean, Ben explained it pretty well, but it doesn't do that in the movie.
Not at all.
The movie shouldn't get credit for that. And I just was annoyed with so much of this movie. It just moves too quick. Like Micah said, there's no characters in this movie. It's just chess pieces being moved on a board to do things. There are a few instances of greatness in there, but I was left more just disappointed. And it's not from the fuming point where I'm like, extremely angry. It's just I'm really let down by what this was, and even not sticking to your guns with what the last movie was and building off it and making something. You could at least have this be a capper and people, have closure who like The Last Jedi. At least have that. But you don't. You don't stick to any of that. So when I wanted to give a score out, I started at 0. Okay? What elements bump that up from a 0? So I have performances. And the performances are really good from everyone. Regardless of the lines they're delivering, the actors showed up and they tried. Right? Specifically Kylo Ren, Adam Driver, Daisy Ridley, Rey. I like you two a lot. So I get a point for that. 1 point for that. Visuals. I think the visuals and special effects, pretty solid. Boom. You get another point. I have the Rey and Kylo Ren dynamic. I think that's carried over really well from the last movie. Not the kiss. I'm not going to give points for the kiss, but I get a point for those two characters and the dyad that they continue from the last movie. Boom. They get a point for that. And randomly throwing John Williams scores in doesn't work all the time. It doesn't. But it makes me think. It's manipulative in...
It makes you think you're watching a
It
better
makes me
movie.
think of those moments and think, okay,
That's
John
why
Williams,
it's terrible.
It is good music.
the Kylo Ren theme, the Rey theme, I like those a lot. Boom, another point. And then I can't give any more points than that because there's nothing else I really liked. So
Well-
4. I settle on a 4. And Micah knew I was going to a 4.
Yeah,
You
I
picked-
agree with a lot of what Ethan said. And that's basically all I got. I mean, you knocked it out of the park with your explanation. You wrote things down and everything. So, but I wouldn't go that high.
No.
No,
Okay.
I would go.
They high now.
Yeah, they high now. They're low now. I think that this does a disservice to what Star Wars is. This is incredibly hurtful towards the brand, and it's the reason why people have a lasting hatred towards the sequels, is because they did not land the ship. So because it is so awful and so damaging towards the legacy that is Star Wars, I have to give it no higher than a 3.3.
3.3.
There,
Wow.
This is the worst Star Wars movie, period. There, I mean, like what Ethan said, the acting, like there was so much effort, but without the story, you just can't have a movie.
For reference, Micah's Ewok film scores are higher than this.
Those had vision. Those had
So this
a
is
goal
your
in mind.
lowest score of the marathon.
Guys.
Okay. Wow.
I even compared it with the Marvel spreadsheet, and this is sitting exactly where I want it to sit, just under Punisher.
Thomas Jane's Punisher?
The
But-
Punisher.
But no one cares how me and Micah think.
Yeah.
Because I am just curious, not how low Ben puts this, but where his score falls compared to his Last Jedi score. That's what I'm interested to see.
I'm really interested to see this.
What do you you know what?
Just say. Go ahead, Ben.
No, I'd like to expound on what Micah
Expound.
says. This is a disservice to Star Wars as a brand, if I may.
Are we getting a
Sure.
Ben rant? We
No.
about to get a Ben
I mean,
rant?
I could have. I thought it could
I'll
have
root
been
on
better.
a Ben rant.
I
Go ahead,
thought
Ben.
Rise of Skywalker could have been good.
Take yourselves back to A New Hope.
Hop in our DeLorean.
Almost 15, weeks ago when we watched that, when we threw that in. Through Empire, through Return. Phantom and Attack have their moments. Revenge is truly epic. All of that was due to the creativity of
I
so many
knew you were gonna say
people.
this, yeah.
So many people who loved and cared about Star Wars. A small company that is Lucasfilm, who were taking so many ideas, who spent many, many years. I mean, Lucas started his scripts for the prequels 5 years before the first movie even came out. There was so much creativity involved. You may not like the story that came of it, but the ideas that were present, the designs of the ships, the story that they put out, the music that was composed, everything screamed impressionable. It left an impact on you as a kid. I will never forget watching the prequel films 1 billion times just because I wanted to see Order 66 again, or all the clones, or the Jedi, who I thought were the coolest thing in the world, just because Lucas created these as a visual. Star Wars it's a visual medium. But through that, there's a storyline that goes through the first 6 films. All of that it's so creative and it's rich. It's full of so many great ideas. It's crazy how many great ideas Star Wars has and had, even in A New Hope. How many crazy ideas that they put forward, and it worked. It worked so well. Fast forward to 2019, almost 40 years later, and you get this corporate trash. It's muddled. It's terrible. It's thrown together because of what this corporation thinks people want. There was no ounce of creativity in this movie. It was just, okay, let's go maybe here. Let's go here because they didn't like this. Let's go here because they loved that, and maybe we pull back here later on in the story. It's the most corporate Star Wars has ever been, and it's why George Lucas had such an issue with this. It's why he wanted the rights to it. So with all of that, it's a terrible film, and I will say I don't hate it. You know what? I do hate it as much as The Last Jedi, but for completely different reasons. The Last Jedi, I will say, is creative. It has ideas. It tries to tell a story, but I'm mad at the direction that went. But this is stupid for completely different reasons. It doesn't do anything anymore. And so it gets the same score as Last Jedi, but for completely different reasons.
Okay,
Because this is just absolute It's terrible, man. It's so disgusting. It's offensive. And yeah, and you get Ethan, who has made fun of me, and rightly so. You know, I get very passionate about this franchise as a whole, but it's just because I love it so much. I love it, and I wanted it. The potential that the sequel trilogy had as a whole was something I was super excited about. And when I look back and look how it was executed, it's so disheartening. It's disappointing. It's terrible. And I like what Micah said. A lot of people's, reaction and negative opinion of the sequel trilogy stems from The Rise of Skywalker. As bad as The Last Jedi gets, it gets a beating for online, this was the lasting impact that was left from this sequel trilogy. Yeah. And that makes a huge difference.
So, yeah, tracking your scores, Ben. So 5 for The Force Awakens, 3 for The Last Jedi, and 3 for Rise of Skywalker. How much, because me and Micah on very different levels both enjoyed Rise of Skywalker or Last Jedi and The Force Awakens on different levels. We did, but how much of that? Because I don't know. I'm trying to see where does this movie sour the whole trilogy? Is that how it works?
Yeah, the Force Awakens is at a 5 because it's not here yet. We're not this low yet. It's bad, but it's not this bad.
I don't know.
But it's not.
I just don't know
right?
Is there, just with those two movies, I get people don't like them, but is there some unconscious bias to where these aren't George Lucas Star Wars films, so I cannot give them very high?
No.
Is there's no wheels in your head spinning like that? You don't think?
Absolutely not. And I've explained it.
You have.
This isn't about it not being George Lucas's story. Rogue One is not George Lucas's story.
It's not.
Bad Batch is not George Lucas's story. Ahsoka is not George Lucas's story. Like, none of that is. Rebels is not George Lucas's story. Those are great. Andor Peak is not George Lucas's story. But there is good ways to continue this. But this sequel trilogy, it's like the quote I put for my Force Awakens review on Letterboxd from Jurassic Park. Before you even knew what you had, you patented it. You shipped it off. You want to sell it. Right. Within 2 years of buying this, they are pumping out a new trilogy. Let's pump the brakes and put together something that's truly special if we're going to get everything that made people fall in love with this in the first place. Let's have some thought here. It just feels so corporate. Force Awakens feels so corporate. It's, let's take exactly what people love from A New Hope and the originals, and let's make that a film again.
Yeah.
And the setup is why I give it some kind of points, and the great characters. That's a thing I take away from this. I don't hate any of the major characters in this, but it's the story that surrounds them. It feels corporate. It feels, hey, remember this? We're going to put this here.
But I think that's why I really, really liked The Last Jedi so much, is because it wasn't that. It wasn't, hey, remember this.
I liked how different it was and how it took the characters in a new direction. But listen to The Last Jedi podcast if you want those reviews.
We're going way too late into this. You'll get all kinds of rant and stuff next week on our wrap up of this whole thing.
We don't want to spoil too much.
No.
So this week, Rise of Skywalker. Ben, you gave it a 3. I gave it a 3.3. Ethan, you gave it a 4. That averages out to a 3.4 out of 10.
No freaking way.
3.4, our only rotten mainline Star Wars movie average.
Dude,
it goes under.
There ain't no way.
It is half the score of our second to last place.
Dude.
Almost half.
You know what is higher than this, though? Overall?
Battle for Endor.
The battle for freaking Endor by 0.2.
That's right.
So this is, where is this from the bottom? Rise of Skywalker.
Find out next week.
Oh,
that's right.
We're not even going to let people know this week?
Nope.
All right, guys, that's a little cliffhanger for you. Although
next week we'll tell you all of our averages for the different trilogies and where we all stand, and we're going to just ride through all our scores real quick. So if you just want a nice wrap-up video, if you listen to our Marvel wrap-up video similar to that, anything we'd like to change, anything we regret ranking where it is. So Ben will go back on his Force Awakens score, and Ethan will go back on his Attack of the Clones score. But at the end of the day,
you'll stick your guns on every score because
I'm perfect in every way.
Okay.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Well, Return of the Jedi, I'm kind of feeling, but
We'll talk about that next week.
we'll talk about it next week. Same bad time.
Same bad channel. This has been Rayside.
this is Ethan.
This is Cloud.
And remember,
Take my hand. We'll see you next week.
the Force will be with you always.
We'll always be with you.